As a number of you guys have dealt with me for years, okay. I've jokingly said that I haven't been right in 20, now it's 27 and a half years. Something about being married does that to you. But without further ado, we're here to talk about identity proofing. So fundamentally, before we get started, you get the neat little nice little disclaimer there. Okay, the opinions are mine. I don't get the compensation from all of the neat little vendors and products and everything else you're going to hear about. But fundamentally, okay, why am I doing it? Let's share what we all know. So, anyone ever hear that phrase? Identity is the new perimeter. Poor Kevin there is used to saying that phrase because he's normally there doing it right after the fact with a neat little blurb about, I don't know, zero trust architecture. It could be everything around non-human identities. So go put some MFA in front of something. But guess what we never talk about when we talk about identity being the new perimeter? Social engineering. Does you no good to go put that MFA in place if you don't control how it was handed out. So, human trust. Okay, I know it's a little weird to get a bunch of tech guys together and then talk about things like trust, soft feelings, etc. Okay, don't worry, we're not going to do trust falls. We're not going to do any of that. But why do I bring up human trust? Fundamentally, humans are social animals. So what does that mean? That means in the absence of something to raise your questions, you're going to take people at their word, especially when you're talking about their identity. I mean, yes, I could have been introduced as Donald J. Trump, and you're going to say, okay, too little hair, not orange enough. Okay, but that's because, okay, out of context. I could have came up here and said, hey, I'm Whitney Houston. Well, he's got the wrong voice for it. Certainly doesn't have the figure for it. So very important to keep in mind that as long as nobody steps out of the expected context, you're not going to question it. And then, okay, great. We're talking about identity proofing. We're talking about that social engineering. We got to remember that transactional interaction that's really common for a help desk, for a call center, they are missing most of the social clues that would actually raise your ire in the first place. They don't see the person. They don't see them sweating. They're not jittery. All they hear is a voice. Voice is an easier thing to fake than all of the other social clues. So what does that mean? That means any kind of identity proofing, that means that validation has to happen as a part of the process, not the person, because people are going to be very fallible in this space. So I want you guys to be honest. Other than the really bad AI voice that's on this, how similar is this process to what you guys do at your place?
Thank you for calling the help desk. My name is Robert. Can I get your name and employee number, please? 01886 Dr. Henry Jekyll. How can I assist you today, Dr. Jekyll? I just got a new phone and I need to re-enroll it for MFA. No problem. Can I get the last 4 digits of your SSN, please? 1234. Excellent. Can you please tell me who your manager is? Victor Frankenstein. Thank you. Have you already downloaded them?
So it stops off there. Does this sound familiar to a password reset happens in your org? No real clues, right? Other than the names and the PII, what you just heard was a transcript from an attacker call we had last year. So what happened next? So within a couple minutes of that service desk call, that attacker took that newly registered MFA, immediately went to Microsoft self-service password reset. change the password. Great. So now he's got user, password, and MFA. Okay. They then immediately logged in, went to the HR system immediately, changed the direct deposit information for the person they were emulating. Oh boy. Then just sat back and waited. Over the course of the next day, doctor ends up calling the service desk going, hey, I can't log in. So he gets his password reset. Everyone's fat, dumb, and happy, right? Until payday comes. So imagine all of a sudden how you're going to feel if the expected paycheck in there. So you can imagine that issue bubbled up fast. So that's a bad situation for a procedure we all said was right. We're all doing it. What I want you guys to understand what this is not. So this is not your help desk screwing up. Think about it. They're not compensated. That's not what their incentive is, to go do what we think they should have done. They're incentivized to be helpful. We measure them based upon survey results and first call resolution. So if you suddenly start telling doctors no, or vice presidents of a plant, or just keep on going down the list, how's that survey result going to come in? Yeah. So that's not what they're going to do. I'm also going to tell you, this is not fake news. We've seen this multiple times in the last year. I'm also here to tell you that, okay, we can kid ourselves and tell us that hey, this is Northwest Ohio. Nothing bad ever happens here. It's a nice little safe community, etc. Right? So what you are seeing there on the side of the screen is a screenshot we managed to grab, because these attackers, they're bold. They're going to pretend to be whoever they say. So when the service desk actually took that person and said, hey, let me walk you through how to enroll that MFA, just remote into your machine real quick, the attacker didn't say no. They took the connection because they realized, hey, this is the white glove treatment that comes with being a doctor. If I say no, it's actually going to be more odd than I accept it. So guess what? They accept it, except that they hadn't fully closed out of all of the things they had already open trying to attack us. So what we caught was 0.3 of a second before they closed the screen that has all of the orgs on it that he currently had on his call list that day. And yes, you can say, okay, ProMedica, we're there. We're right here. All right, we're the biggest employer in Lucas County, so we can't say we're that small Northwest Ohio. What about Firelands? Single hospital, nowhere near our size. There's a lot of other small hospital systems on there too. Few lawyers' offices, again, not large. So being small, being out of the geographic mainstream isn't a help here, because this is a digital attack. It's not a proximity attack. So think about it. Think about what your service desk, or what your payroll call center, or what the other business areas that you deal with, what are the scary transactions out there? Okay, we already talked about MFA enrollments. I don't think I have to beat that one to death. Password changes. Okay, if you've got a system out there that doesn't require MFA, that password reset's as good as gold. It's a little less obvious. Think about how much we do on these every single day. So MDM enrollment suddenly, ooh, are we really giving away the keys of the kingdom to the right person? Okay. Next two are really around, okay, who uses Microsoft Autopilot? AKA zero touch provisioning, Just ship the machine from random manufacturer to the end user. Except that when you do that, guess what? That's an automated Azure AD, Azure connection, possibly an on-prem AD. It's going to be a certificate enrollment. And guess what? Certificates are just as good as a password. You can authenticate no matter what. So you got to go make sure and check those processes. Make sure you're actually truly vetting. Did that laptop get delivered where we expect? Is it really the person we want? Or is there some kind of check in the box that says, hey, you should have gotten the password or something else to finish the provisioning? So it's not delivered together. And then one that's typically not even IT, because even in some of the smallest orgs I've ever worked for, IT help desk didn't do direct deposit changes, but you probably have a phone number people can call for payroll questions, et cetera. And guess what? Are they doing the same level of identity proofing? Because even separate of all of the MFA discussion you heard on the call recording, if you can just convince the human to go make the change directly, you don't even need to go through that rigmarole. Make sense, guys? All right. That's great. We talked about the what we're scared about. What about the who? And I'm going to give you 2 examples, and they're not even the only 2 examples because the person who came after us is neither of these 2. You've probably heard of scattered spider, or now currently known as scattered Laspis hunters. Why? Because you took 3 groups, rammed them together. Why do I say you probably have heard of these? These are the guys behind the scenes who hit MGM and Caesars a couple years ago. What was their MO? They called the service desk, pretended to be an IT person, got their password changed, got MFA enrolled, and magically got handed domain admin creds because of the person they picked on. Oops. Why are these guys so scary? These guys are native English speakers. So you're not dealing with any kind of voice fake out. You're not dealing with someone with an accent. You're not dealing with someone who doesn't understand colloquialisms like soda versus pop. You're talking about somebody who legitimately grew up here. Current thoughts are most of these guys are US or British teenagers with nothing better to do post high school. The other scary part about this group is they're one of the very few groups who actively recruit women. Why is that scary? Are all of our executives, all of our key people, are they all male? Nope. Thankfully, we've grown up a little bit, and I've actually been a bit more integrated. So they'll actually go after women just as much as they'll go after men. They're armed with more data than you can possibly imagine. Why? They're also the group that actually engineered the big Workday mega breach last year. So all of everybody's neat little contact lists, et cetera. Oh boy. Sorry, Salesforce, not Workday, but number 2, payroll pirates. So I think that's a little cooler name than Microsoft's name, Storm 2657, because I don't know, Storm 2657 just doesn't roll off the tongue. That's what these guys specialize in. They literally go in, they're trying to just get that one hit for a direct deposit piece. And then they're really nice to you because in most cases, when they're in there and making the direct deposit change, they also kick off a business email compromise and start spamming all of your customers, et cetera. Why is that significant? Because in most cases, that business email compromise is the thing you notice. So you spend all of your investigation effort looking at where the email came from, et cetera. And unless you're really diligent and go see that, oh, by the way, they also logged into your HR system, you don't even notice that direct deposit hit until it's too late. They're not the only 2. I mean, the North Koreans love this. Lazarus is known to do this. They'll spearfish individuals. Why? They're all about how do I get more funding back to the supreme leader. Make sense? All right. Why a problem now? I mean, for the love of God, help desks have been doing password resets this way for decades. So why are we talking about this in 2026? Well, who heard of national public data? Yeah. National Public Data is a information collection organization who got hit in 2024. They fundamentally gave away every single social security number and every address for every adult in the US and UK. So if you think your social security number is safe, you're kidding yourself. Guess what that number one identifier everyone kind of holds on to and says, oh my God, this is the ultimate PII. This is how I can identify who somebody is. No, it wasn't even safe before national public data. They just had to collect it from a number of places. Equifax got hit how many times? Just keep on going down the list. The VA. The other piece of this, okay, humans, we're social. We love to share neat little details. So that neat little social engineering piece gets easy because people go and share everything on social media. So what's those neat little security questions we go after? Let's see. What high school did you graduate from? Okay, LinkedIn. Next. Don't even have to dig. Don't have to do anything. It's out there publicly. All right. What was your first car? You probably talked about that on Facebook or Instagram. Who was your teacher? A little harder historically, but now there's all the services that publish, guess what? Yearbooks. So guess what? You probably know roughly how old the person is. You already knew what school they went to. You may even know what year they graduated because they may have put that in their LinkedIn profile too. Just go look up the yearbook. What was the teacher? Done. Make sense? And then the one that people have tried to go to the last few years, employee number, who do you report to? Okay, you never report that on LinkedIn. Okay, I don't know why you'd ever put your employee number on Instagram, Facebook, etc. But guess what? Nearly every HR vendor or one of their subordinates has been hit in the last couple of years. So guess what? Things like employee number, reporting structure, if it hasn't changed recently, they probably know it. Make sense? All right. So I just talked about a lot of very ugly things, but doesn't mean we have to give up. Doesn't mean we just throw in the towel and say, I don't know why we're even trying this. So what can we do to mitigate? This isn't a one size fits all. This isn't okay. Just because it's good for ProMedica doesn't mean it's good for any. Nope. This is, you got to take the hard look and go look at your own workflows, your own lives, your own orgs, make your own decision. So let's start with passwordless auth. Okay. Really hard to fish a password if you don't even use one in the first place. So a couple ways to do this, and this isn't the happy marketing show. Microsoft and nobody else gets YubiKey. They're not paying me. So you can do the Windows Hello for Business trick, whether fingerprint, face, doesn't matter. You can go smart cards. They're a little inconvenient. You can do the YubiKeys, which are a little easier. But fundamentally, you just took the password away. So pros. Really, really hard to fish these things. Why? Because it's a physical thing you got to have. Whether it's your face, your fingerprint, a silly USB key, it's really hard for somebody sitting somewhere else to fake that out. All right. That's a pretty positive pro. Why isn't everybody doing that? Well, number one, guess what? Doesn't help in employment fraud. Because guess what? If you're going to send the laptop to the wrong place, you're probably going to send the smart card, the YubiKey, whatever, to the wrong place. And Windows Hello for Business doesn't help because guess what? As soon as you got the laptop, that's when you enrolled your face. So there's nothing to reference beforehand. So it doesn't help you in the neat little North Korean IT worker. All right, cost. This is not a cheap solution. I mean, Windows Hello for Business, okay, take some time to set up, pretty easy. YubiKeys, $50-ish. a piece. Smart cards depends on who you ended up going after, and now you have to find hardware that supports whatever smart card solution you did. So your laptop, your desktop, et cetera, cost just went up. Okay, not a bad place to start. Oops, wrong button. All right, there's an app for everything. So there's got to be something out there for identity proofing, right? There's not just something for identity proofing. There are hundreds of things out there for identity proofing. That's not even close to an exhaustive list. So don't try to go think I'm picking those guys. They just happen to be the first ones that showed up in Google. Okay? But the very scary part about it is they all basically do the same thing. They're going to tell you to go take a picture of your state or federal ID, front and back, take a selfie, send it up to their system. Then they're basically going to do a light background check on you. They're going to go make sure, okay, does that ID match that face? Does that ID, does the address, does the serial number, does everything match what's in that state or that federal record? That's all they're doing. And then at the end, they basically issue some kind of certificate, whether it gets enrolled in an authenticator app, whether it's really a cert you can use elsewhere in your application stack, doesn't matter. That's how they work. So if you can get the right kind of documentation, okay, still beatable. Oops. Pros. Guess what? This is a workflow that people can do ahead of time. So suddenly, hey, you want to go enroll in Authentics, OneCosmos, doesn't matter. Do it whenever. It's kind of like MFA. You can enroll in MFA whenever. You don't need it immediately. So you get that neat little cert sitting there on your device. Don't need it till the next time you have to go get your password recovered or a new MFA device. Great. So great time saver. But if you get that user who's not so prepared and thinks about things ahead of time, you just added a monster delay because they've got a monster processing time. Typically takes on the order of 12 to 24 hours. So can you imagine having to tell your call center manager that, yeah, that user you got, they're not going to work today? Or worse, a plant manager, a VP. Yeah. It's what I like to call an RGE, resume generating event. Okay. Con, there is a transactional cost to this. They're not terrible, so don't read too much into that one. There is integration effort though, because you have to take whatever their auth method is and integrate it into your workflow so that it's visible to the service desk or it's visible to a self-service password reset or however you're exposing this. That's integration effort, and it's not necessarily easy. The next one's kind of ugly. Why? Almost all of them rely sometime on a mobile device. And many, many orgs have parts of their org that are not allowed to have a mobile device with them for either compliance, safety, or intellectual property protection reasons. So think about on the middle of a plant floor. Yeah, okay, I just want to whip out the phone. No, somebody just got ran over by whatever the line was doing. Think about a call center. Yeah, we just let people have their phones out there. Okay, they're taking pictures of your credit card. Do you no, that's not going to. So this isn't going to work for any of those. And then last, if you do it wrong, you just made somebody's personal breach your org breach. Why? Because when these things integrate into your authenticator or whatever, it's not like the traditional ones that are for your enterprise, where you change phones, the key does not copy. This key copies to every device that you are enrolled on. So all of a sudden, they get their account phished at home. You just gave away what it takes to go authenticate them for work. All right. I keep hitting the wrong button. Multiple proofs of identity. Okay. Thought we were trying to make this easy, so now we just doubled the problem, but okay. So, what are we talking about? One-time passwords being sent to either a pre-registered email or a pre-registered cell phone. Okay. Somebody needs their password reset. Call the manager. Okay. Does Susie really need her password reset? Oh, okay. Kind of a weird one because it's really a detection, not a control, is around post-change detection and validation. So great. Don't try to prevent it. Let the workflow happen, but just immediately follow up on it going, hey, I saw you just change your password. I saw you just re-enrolled in MFA. Is it really you? Okay, that's workable. There's others, depending on what your workflow is. The sky's the limit here. Use your creativity. Pros, cost. Fundamentally, what you're investing in here is development time in terms of execution on process. You may have some transactional SMS charges if that's the route you went for one-time passwords, but the cost here is minimal. What's the con? Speed. Might be quick, might not be, depending on what you chose. Okay, one-time password to somebody's email. Okay, what, 2 minutes tops? What about that contacting the manager? What if the person who needs their password reset is a third shift worker and the manager is a first shift worker? Oops, we just lost a whole day again. Or worse, you even get the right shift, manager's out of the office. What's your next step escalation? So speed can become very, very ugly here. This is only as good as whatever your source of truth is. If you don't have a good source of private personal emails or personal cell phone numbers or management org structure, this is doomed to fail. The other biggie is that evil SOC stat, mean time to remediate. If your mean time to remediate is not infinitesimal, you just gave the keys of the kingdom away and you're not even following up on it for a day or two. All right.
Tom, visual verification, is that something that would be encompassing in this portion as well? Because I mean,
What's that?
visual verification. I've worked at organizations.
Yep.
I've been too low on the totem pole for them to care about that, but depending on access, depending on, right, are they someone that could, if they were compromised, impact the organization, whether it was individual verification at one level, and to your point of the manager attestation, it was visual verification of both the user and that manager confirming that this person is doing that. And again, it does add time to your
it adds time.
It adds some cost in the processing of doing that. But I guess has that been a thought, or you can talk on that, or what's?
We could talk about that one. I don't have it in the slide deck here, so thanks for bringing it up.
Yeah.
How many orgs are in the position to do that? So everyone has cameras on every device everywhere, right? So that device out on the floor, that device out in the nurse's station, we have no, we don't. So visual verification only works if you have a camera available. And we're right back to, okay, fine, do it, do the call from your cell phone. But again, we have the compliance, safety, or whatever else keeping us out. It's workable in some environments. So I'm not trying to discount it, but you then also have to have a source of truth of what is Kevin really supposed to look like? And think about, and I'm not trying to pick on generations, okay? Fundamentally, okay, old people like me, okay? If you go look at my badge when I hired into ProMedica and my badge and what I look like right now, okay, there's a lot more hair. Okay, is that really him? No. Okay, or okay, just got a brand new hair color, just got a brand new tattoo. Okay, didn't like what the sex was on the birth certificate, etc. So visual verification may work, may not. Others?
That's a great point, because again, in our organization at the time I'm talking about, yeah, we do have that capability, but thinking about nurses on the floor.
Yeah.
Or people in the plant, right? That's not, I mean, to the point of, yeah, you can't even probably have your phone out on the plant. How are you gonna take 2 hours off to go find your boss so you can verify?
Right. And in a healthcare environment, especially a hospital environment, you're not putting a camera on every machine on purpose, because just turning that camera on may catch patients. Now you don't have consent, so you immediately have a HIPAA violation. Oh yeah, it gets ugly fast. Others on the multi-verification, because you're right, visual verification may work. Okay, completeness. Just don't allow remote changes. Okay, thou shalt be on network, or thou shalt not change. Easy to say. However, it's not viable in anything other than the smallest of orgs, where everybody is basically family. Okay, no one's got anyone not have a remote workforce? I mean, today, really? So fundamentally, yeah, you're not going to get there. A whole lot harder to spoof it, but fundamentally, no one's going to be able to do it. Make sense? All right. There's one control that I didn't put up there, but everyone is encouraged to do. What is it? Before I flip the slide, anyone want to guess? Change notification. Hey, we saw you just enrolled a new MFA device. We saw you just change your direct deposit. We saw you just keep on going. That's great, except for two problems. Number one, the attackers know that people do this, and trust me, they will go in and delete them out of people's email. The other problem is okay, users don't read the email we wanted to send them. So are they really going to pay attention to this one? So efficacy is really kind of hard. The only way to make it even plausible is to delay the send. And the how much doesn't have to be huge. Delay a couple hours. Send next day. Especially direct deposit, send it the next day. Why? Okay, you're not getting paid that fast anyway. Make sense?
Are those notifications, you're talking just to the user themselves, not to any kind of security escalation?
Correct. Send it to the user themselves. Enlist the user to be part of the actual detection. Saying, hey, we saw you just enrolled a new MFA. Did you? Exactly. All right. So what else have you guys seen work? I've talked about a number of different strategies. They're not exhaustive. Did I miss any biggies? I'm going to take silence as golden here. If you don't want to bring it up in front of everybody, catch me afterward. I'm willing to talk. With that, what questions you guys got? Yeah.
For the ID verification that you brought up, one of the cons that I didn't, maybe I terrible eyesight, probably should have sounded closer. That's on me. But one of the cons that I was expecting you to bring up is the data breaches that can happen with those companies that are processing all that data, because it's already happened in the past. So I just wanted to kind of get your thought process on
Every company you give data to increases your attack surface. It's not a small piece there. What you can do, and some of them do, some of them don't. In your contract, how long are they able to hold on to that data? So what you do is put in the contract, okay, great, yes, we just sent you a copy of a driver's license. We sent you the other pieces. You have to purge that in 3 days. The certificate has to live longer. They just need to keep the metadata that says, hey, yes, we did the identity proofing. Here's the certificate that counts for it. They don't need to keep a copy of your driver's license. So put data destruction as a part of the contract.
I'd like to is going back to kind of the beginning of what you said around human trust,
Mhm.
right? We're intrinsically trusting as humans. What, and there's, right, we have phishing simulation, we have all these different solutions that people hate because it's like, I failed, now I gotta go take this training. And I don't know that they're impactful, but I think that at the end of the day, right, the human, they can have everything wrapped around them to secure them, and they can still make the error.
Yep.
Not even knowing. I guess what steps have you seen, if you have, work from an enablement, from a, like I think I've overshifted where I've phished emails that were internal from my organization because they looked like phishing emails. And they're like, oh no, actually, and a big corporate wide email goes out like, actually, you need to log into HR and update your W-2. And I saw that, and it's like, no. But like, I look at the human aspect as, again, the weakest link in that chain, because it doesn't matter what protocols you put in place.
So phishing simulation, I hate them. So fundamentally, if they are effective for about the first 9 months you start. After that, they build animosity between the user community and the security community. Because basically, the user community ends up feeling, you're just trying to trick me. And you said the phrase, everyone does, okay, the human's the weakest link. That's a cop-out. Fundamentally, what we need to get our arms around is every time we left that link in place for the user to actually click it, that's a failure on our part. No, we're not going to be 100% effective either. But basically, we have to build our process such that, okay, we can deal with single failures. So, I mean, there's the old adage that, okay, attackers only have to be right once. We have to be right every single time. That's actually not true. Because if you're actually doing things right, even if you miss the first indicators, we should be able to find a later step in the kill chain. Don't get me wrong, the later you find it in the kill chain, it gets more and more expensive to actually remediate. But okay, just because somebody clicked a link in one email does not magically mean, okay, we're screwed. We're going to be encrypted in an hour. We're done. No, you should be able to detect, okay, when did lateral movement start? When did they start escalating privileges? When did we start seeing the decryptor or the encryptor start to deploy? It's all about, okay, build in those multiple layers of detection. Take a look at what the guys are most likely to use against you. Build your detections against it. Sun Tzu, not a new guy. Might have come up with some recommendations, I don't know, what, 2,500 years ago? Know thyself, know thy enemy. Okay, fundamentally, okay, if you know what your enemy is likely to do, you can place your defenses in front of what he's likely to do. If you don't know what your enemy is going to do, you're now trying to defend everything. It's an impossible job. Make sense? Brent?
Great presentation, Tom. Curious where your organization lands in these situations. What do you guys prefer?
Oh, so what did we deploy?
Yeah.
We are in the multiple independent sources. So we'll do the one-time password. We'll do follow-up afterward. Go validate. And it also ends up being some fun with the help desk because we found, okay, sometimes they kind of cheat. And so I think this is really the right guy. I'm not going to do the OTP. Yeah, okay, great. Except then now all of a sudden we see that things change. And it's like, no, we'll end up doing the validation for it and then reach out to the help desk manager going, re-educate.
Yeah, it's maybe rethink some things, but like the protections we have are ultimately, if there's a password reset in our org, the RMM tool has to exist on the device of doing the password reset. And we are only allowing password resets from domain devices.
Okay.
So there's maybe we're lucky in those scenarios, but yeah.
What about MFA? How are you handling that? Because MFA resets are actually more dangerous than password ones, because I'm assuming.
Agreed. I mean, as far as the detection and response portion of it, we have identity threat detection and response.
Cool.
The vendor. Yeah.
What else, guys?
Can you
Not you, Nate.
use a service like Have I Been Pawned to identify what all the email addresses are that
Mhm.
are already in some hacker's database?
So we scrape Have I Been Pwned it's roughly every week right now, looking for every corporate email and every registered personal email. Because fundamentally, guess what? If their personal email is compromised and we're using that for identity proofing, yeah, we kind of want to know that. We also get a feed from Health ISAC, so the information sharing group for healthcare. There's other ones for manufacturing, keep on going down the list. We have dark web monitoring through our MSSP. It's going, suddenly do we see something at ProMedica showing up on a credential sales site or random dark web? So Intel is a very big thing for two reasons. One, we just talked about the very operational pieces there. Going, okay, how likely am I to be, et cetera. There's a little more strategic use of Intel going, okay, who are the threat actors that are out there that are very likely to attack me based on I'm in the US, I'm in healthcare, what attackers are likely to hit us? We then take the step and go, okay, map everything they're likely to do to the MITRE attack framework. Go, here's what their kill chain really looks like. We then take every detection we have and every detection that our MSSP has, map it to the actual MITRE attack framework. What's it likely to catch? Then draw a map that says, what am I missing? Where are the areas where I'm covered? Where are the areas where I have a detection, but no one's likely to use it because that's somewhat wasted effort? And then what are my attackers likely to use that I have a detection? And then worst of all, what's an attacker likely to do to me that I have no visibility to at all? And that's where detection engineering gets focused. Yeah, Mike.
What controls have you put into place with your MSP to manage those that might have keys to the kingdom in their side?
So what controls can the MSSP do? And then I lost you.
What have you done with the MSP to make sure that you have controls in place that can mitigate their risk?
So we actually number one, they actually have very limited connectivity to us. We let them have some API connectivity, but it's not like we have an open VPN for absolutely everything between us and them. We're trying to mitigate what could really flow between the orgs both ways. Because in some ways, we're probably more likely to be attacked than they are. The other piece is, okay, there's some pieces we'll let them do autonomously. Okay, they see an IP with a really high risk score on it, suddenly trying to attack in, okay, go throw it on the block list. I don't care. But we don't give them free reign to just go isolate devices. Even though, okay, you see malware running, that's the number one knee-jerk thing everyone wants to do is go hit that isolate button. We're weird in healthcare. So I'm going to give you a real example that happened. So we got a detection for a malware downloader. We could actually see the downloader running. We could see the firewall actively blocking the URL the downloader was trying to get to. So you have malware running on a device trying to download the next stage. I mean, this is a textbook example of what you do that triggers a isolation event. Okay, when we look at the data around the device where it's running, it's an anesthesia cart in a surgery room. So at this point, as a security team, we don't know if there's a patient hooked up. So you hit that isolate button, you just took a minor security incident and made it a bad patient outcome because it's possible you're killing somebody with that. So that's why we don't let the MSSP just run wild. So You want to isolate? Call us. We're available 7/24. We'll step in and do it. Nate?
I was just gonna ask, you brought up passwordless authentication, and with the adoption of standards like passkeys and things like that, do you think we are finally at a point where maybe not the entire organization you deploy that to, but the IT organization or the privileged user organization, do you think we're finally at the apex where we're gonna start to see that as a viable option to protect those, accounts that at least typically have more permissions than standard users?
So passkeys are great for secondary auth, not primary auth to a workstation. So great for app, not so much for a local workstation. If you figured out a way to get them to work on a workstation, I'm willing to talk.
It is very much app focused. Right?
Yeah.
It's very much app focused.
So what we've done, love passkeys, we'll encourage them. So we typically do not allow remote access to our cloud, to anything from a non-ProMedica issued device. Thou shalt, email my phone. Okay, my phone better be an MDM to have a certificate in order to go auth. Okay, we have that bad day. We have a policy sitting there in conditional access policy sitting in our tenant that literally says, okay, we're having a bad day. AD is gone, can't log in, got to keep the business running. It's a conscious decision, go flip that policy enabled. Now users will be able to access our tenant, so Teams, SharePoint, etc., with a passkey. So.
How do you approach the strategy of accepted risk?
I'm having a tough time hearing you, sorry.
How do you approach the strategy of accepted risk for putting these things in and we'll put in YubiKey, but then it's but we're creating a uproar of all the physicians in our hospital. And anyways, how do you
So security teams, do we own risk? Does a security team ever own risk? The answer is no. Our job is to identify risk, put it in plain terms that the business can understand, and go, all right, where on the curve, here's what it is, here's what it's likely to cost you. And costs don't necessarily always think of dollars. It could be reputational cost. It could be lost time. It could be real dollars. Doesn't matter. Here's what's at risk. Here's the conditions, the likelihood, the impact, etc. Mr. or Mrs. Business Owner, are you willing to live with this, or should we put compensating controls in place? If the answer is, what's my compensating? You got to be ready to talk through what is that compensating control option, etc. So we don't own the risk. What else? Sorry.
One thing I've noticed and run into more than one occasion is a wall between the HR service desk and the IT service desk, with different processes and different methods for identifying or simply doing the same action. They each do it differently with differing levels of success and security. How do you align this? Because they usually have different chains of command.
Love to tell you I have a perfect story there. I don't. What it's about is information sharing. It's about go sit down with whether it is the call center that's taking care of patient account resets, whether it is HR taking care of benefits, payroll, et cetera, whether it's the IT service desk, or we actually also have a clinical service desk. It's a sit down and go, okay, based on what we're seeing, here's what we're seeing is in common. Here's what we're seeing is different. Here's what the risk is. And we don't own all, like HR doesn't report to IT. We can point it out. Can sit down and go. Thankfully, we've got a pretty good relationship with them for a number of reasons. And there've been a few things. Okay, the event I talked about earlier on, guess what? They had to sit there with us because it was a payroll problem. So it's like, ooh, okay, I see where this could go wrong in our world too. It's all around just having that open line of communication. Jacob.
As you were saying this, I almost think that it should be like some kind of policy or rule set, like password reset,
followed by an instant direct deposit change equals bad.
Can you talk up a little, Jacob? Because I can't.
I said, it seems like almost listening to you talk about it, that password reset through help desk, then followed up instantly by some kind of direct deposit change. That's an instant red flag. Shutting that down through some kind of automated workflow. Again, I think that when we talk about help desk, we're talking about an entry level position. It's not hard, for a lot of those smart people in this room, especially in the cyber IT side, to talk someone into socially giving us what we need at that level, or like a help desk one. So if that's the issue, more automation and taking that human element out of it. Would that be the correct way to do it? Again, with those rule sets. Like that was just one quick one I thought of.
So automation can help, but not necessarily. You've got to get a solid process, because fundamentally that human, they're going to trust. Put the pieces in the process. Once you define the process, then you can consider, okay, what pieces of that can I automate to make it simpler to execute? But if you just you start out of the gate saying automation is the key, great. Automate what?
I was gonna say, I think you have, the big challenge I see in a lot of organizations is giving security the visibility. Everyone looks at their Entra ID logs and their things there, but do you have access to the payroll system? Are you getting the logs to even be able to say like, yep, we saw the login here, and then we saw MFA registered, and then we saw them log into the HR system, and then we can see exactly what they did here. A lot of organizations, I just don't think the security teams are given the opportunity to ingest those logs and be able to do the proper analysis and correlation for that.
You're right. And apparently I've done a disservice because I don't have access to all those logs. However, what we can see is, okay, based on the Entra logs, based on the AD logs, we know person logged in here. It's great. I know they accessed the HR system.
Yeah.
I actually don't know if they changed direct deposit. I don't know if they just went in there and took a selfie. I don't know. But what we have we have backwards access. So fundamentally, Kate, you know that there's going to be an event triggered that results in an email as a result of a direct deposit change. Go look in the email system, see if the actual message was sent. That's something that security typically has access to.
And I was thinking, I guess, more to an automation. If you don't automate that, you need to have, you don't want the automation to go, I'm going to go fill this account because I saw them
Correct.
log in, right?
No, it's fundamentally, we let the humans still do it. And then it's like, okay, this doesn't look right. 1-800-HRIS. Can you tell me what this person really did? I don't care what account they put it in, but did they really change direct deposit? It's not about always having access to every single log, every single piece of data. It's about having the markers to know something happened and know who to go ask.
And that's the other challenge. Right? You get into a lot of organizations, and a lot of that used to be in the same building, and now it's across the world, and trying to find who do I call to get that information is also very challenging, I think, for a lot of security organizations.
So what we've done to try to break down those barriers, I mean, security is a team sport. That's kind of been a mantra for a very long time. So what we've done is every quarter, we actually sit down, we have what we call our Ask sessions. All things security knowledge sharing. We'll literally boil down and go, here's what happened in industry. Here's what we really saw in the last quarter, so that people can understand this really isn't just fake news. There's something going on. And then we take the last part of the session and go, okay, here's the things we're doing in the next quarter to basically try to mitigate some of those. So all of a sudden when you get told, oh, you've got to go to the password vault to go get your privileged piece, or you have to go do whatever, it's not a surprise. And then when people understand, okay, what the ramifications are, just like you heard, we'll de-identify pieces. We don't want to literally go shame the victim. Sometimes it's tempting, but fundamentally sit down and go, okay, here's why. When people understand the why you're doing something, it now becomes a much easier hurdle. So we'll actually have people report things that have nothing whatsoever to do. They're not a security breach at all. But you know what the first answer to them is? Thank you. Because I'd rather keep that line of communication. I'd rather be told by 400 people about the same phishing email than not be told at all. Yes, sir.
So I'm a customer, I'm a ProMedica patient. And I have found like I will be sent to a specialist, like an outside service. You don't do MRIs, you know, like at ProMedica, it's an outside vendor. Do you have a relationship with them so that it's a more consistent experience? That I find like that I like how ProMedica does things, but I'm always surprised, like when I go to another place, like it's a different login, it's a different MFA experience, it's inconsistent, and it's frustrating as a person who's just trying to get, you know, hooked up, get some medical service happen.
So I'm also a customer, not just a employee, as is most ProMedica employees. You're right. It's not perfect. So I believe you mentioned it was radiology, especially.
In one case, yeah.
Yeah. So fundamentally, what most people don't understand about healthcare. So you go to a hospital. I'm not even just picking on Toledo Hospital. Billy Joe Jim Bob Hospitals R Us in the middle of Kansas. Most of the doctors that are at an individual hospital are not actually employed by that hospital. It's a fact of healthcare today. It's kind of funny because you're trained as an engineer a million years ago. As a professional, you can't unionize, except that there is a such thing as professional organizations. And I'm sorry, they're another union. But basically, we end up fighting those individual pieces. So as part of their contract, in order to come do a radiology read or go do a particular service, doesn't matter. They bury it into theirs. They get to bill everything as them. All the data gets sent to them. We can't actually use it. We'd rather actually send you one bill, pay them on the side. Why? That's a whole lot better patient experience for you. It's a whole lot better patient experience for me. We'd love to do the scheduling ourselves, but contractually, we're stuck. So I hear you. Love to talk more. Others, guys?
That fills our time.
Seriously, guys. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yeah.
Feel free to reach out on LinkedIn.
And thank you, Tom. Appreciate that. That was awesome. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for coming out tonight. Thank you, Tom, for a great share. If you guys, you don't have to go home or leave. You can hang out and mingle and chit chat and get to know each other. That's really the goal of having these events, is to get you guys, the community, together and create this collaboration. So keep an eye on events happening at the Tech Loft. We don't have a solid date yet right now for the next event, but we're getting ready to put together more specifically cybersecurity stuff. That's one of the things I'm looking to put together, series. So a set of different things happening. So like I said earlier, we have the Capture the Flag coming up. We're shooting for sometime in March, maybe April, depending on how we can get all the pieces and components put together for that. So just stay tuned and keep tapped into what's happening at the Tech Loft. Thank you for coming out. And again, thank you, Tom, for everything. Thank you. Thank you. All right.